High tide. Zack and Zebedee, two of the Z-Stacks, take a shortcut through the canal while transporting a huge cargo. But they've forgotten about the high tide and the low bridges that span the canal. The railway bridge is badly damaged by Zebedee's load, and the next train is due any minute. It is up to Top Hat and Lord Stinker to prevent a terrible accident. The tugs of big city ports never stopped working, even at night. When darkness fell, tugs that were on a job would always finish it, even working through the night sometimes until dawn arrived. The work of the tugs was very important. Goods brought to the ports by road and rail were stacked high along the docksides. The tugs would transport the cargo by barge out to the huge steamers, and carry back goods brought in by them. The trucks and wagons at the quayside would be reloaded with cargo from incoming tramp steamers, ferries and liners for delivery to inland towns and cities. One of the most important cargoes was coal, needed by the steamers for fuel as well as by the industry to the city. On this particular morning, Big Mac, one of Captain Starr's biggest tugs, had been working all night towing coal barges. As he arrived back at the Star Pier, the other tugs laughed to see him covered in coal dust. "Well," smirked Top Hat, "it never fails to amaze me. There's something new to see every day, and today's the sight of a floating coal stack." "If you've been shifting coal, you've been dirty," replied Big Mac. A moment later, Captain Starr's voice came booming across the water. "Right, Star Tugs, here are your orders for the day. Top Hat, you go and deal with the car ferry, and then take the rubbish barge to the city dump." "Rubbish barge? Me?" complained Top Hat. "Do I have to?" "No arguing, Top Hat, move it!" "Yes, sir," muttered Top Hat, and steamed away in the direction of the car ferry, looking very annoyed. Captain Starr continued. "OJ, you load up the new propeller from Lucky's yard and take it to the liner and dry dock. Sunshine, you go and help 10 cents at the storage depot, and then when you both finish, go and help OJ." "Don't waste any time, Sunshine," said OJ. "I need all the help I can get." "Okay, OJ," grinned Sunshine. "We'll be there." "Warrior, Big Mac," said Captain Starr, "your job today is very important. We're competing for the steel company contract and have to show that we can handle big steel loads better than the Z-Stacks. Warrior, see you get your loads across the bay without any accidents. And don't forget, there's going to be a very high tide today. Don't take any risks." "Right," said Big Mac. "A quick wash down to get rid of this dust and then we'll show those Z-Stacks." "Yeah," agreed Warrior, and the two of them set off. Over by the quayside, 10 Cents and Sunshine found the area flooded. Captain Starr had warned the tugs about the high tide, but they had not expected it to be quite so bad. The tugs would have to work twice as hard to rescue their barge loads. Across the harbour, the steel company was preparing to move to its new home. Big Mickey, the largest crane in the docks, was helping and had just finished putting a very tall, heavy steel construction onto a barge. It was now ready to be moved. The Z-Stacks were in charge of this. Zack and Zebedee were preparing to move the large barge when they caught sight of Big Mac and Warrior arriving at the dockside. "You're too late. We've got this job sewn up," jeered Zack. "There's no work here for you." "We've as much right to try for this job as you," said Big Mac. "No chance," sneered Zebedee, and he and Zack pulled away, their heavily laden barges behind them. Big Mac watched them go. "Zack's engine doesn't sound too good. Hey, Mickey, can you give us a quick load up?" "Sure," agreed Mickey. "I hope you beat them to it." And he loaded up the two Star Tugs barges. "Ready," said Big Mac. "You be careful, Warrior. That's a very high load you've got there. Take it steady, and we'll see if we can catch those Z-Stacks." Zack and Zebedee were just passing the entrance to the dock canal that cuts through the docks lands. Zack's engine was beginning to play up. "I warned you about your engine," said Zebedee. "You should have had it fixed. If you can't speed up, those stars are bound to catch us up." "There's nothing wrong with it," snapped Zack. "Anyway, I've got an idea to beat those stars." If we take a shortcut through the canal, we're bound to get there first. If they follow us through, they won't be able to get past because it's too narrow. They'll have to stay behind us, right? Brilliant, Zack, grinned Zebedee. Let's go. Behind them, Big Mac and Warrior watched the two Z-Stacks turn into the canal. What are they up to? wondered Big Mac. They're taking a shortcut through the canal, said Warrior. Come up, we'll follow. No, said Big Mac. They won't get through, it's high tide. So what? asked Warrior. Why should that make a difference to them? Bridges, Warrior, explained Big Mac. With that high load they're towing and the high tide, they'll never get under the bridges over the canal. They'll have to turn around and go back, and by that time we'll be well ahead of them. But up at the other end of the canal, Top Hat was just entering, pushing Lord Stinker the rubbish barge ahead of him. On either side of him were the railway tugs, Eddie and Frank. Several bridges spanned across the canal, the lowest one carrying the railway track. The Z-Stacks hadn't given a moment's thought to their tall load and the high tide. As they steamed up the canal, they rounded the bend just before the railway bridge and saw Top Hat approaching from the other side of the bridge, his wide load almost filling the width of the canal. Someone was going to have to reverse. Top Hat hooted at the Z-Stacks. Reverse if you please, he ordered. I have the right of way. We're heavier, said Zack. You go back. My load is wider, sniffed Top Hat. You've got 5 seconds to back up, snapped Zebedee. Right, well, so have you then, replied Top Hat. 5, warned Zack. 4, said Top Hat. I'm coming through. So am I, said Zebedee. 3. We'll see about that, said Top Hat. 2, 1, yelled Zack, and he and Zebedee turned up to full power and charged under the bridge. But so did Top Hat. He charged towards the bridge, pushing Lord Stinker ahead of him. Look out, Top Hat, cried Lord Stinker. Look at Zebedee's load. It's too high. Top Hat glanced up and saw Zebedee's high load about to hit the bridge. Instantly, he threw his engine into reverse, backing away from the bridge as quickly as he could. A second later, Zebedee's load hit the bridge and toppled off into the canal, bringing parts of the bridge down with it. The tugs looked on, horrified, as the ends of the rails settled slowly into the murky canal waters. What are we going to do now? asked Zack. We'd better go for help, said Zebedee in a shaky voice, and he and Zack released their barges and set off back down the canal to fetch Big Mickey. Top Hat, Lord Stinker, Frank and Eddie stared at the wreck of the railway bridge. This is a terrible state of affairs, said Top Hat. This bridge is one of the busiest in Big City. There'll be a train along any minute, said Lord Stinker. And then a loud whistle was heard. Oh no, cried Top Hat. That's the goods train whistle. The bridge. It's too late to warn the train. The broken rails now ran down into the canal, and so the train would end up in the canal too. Quick, cried Lord Stinker. Push me under the rails. What? said Top Hat. Oh, I see. A brilliant idea. But if this doesn't work, you'll be in great danger yourself. Don't remind me, said Lord Stinker. Just get me under the end of the rails, quick. Seconds later, the train arrived. It ran across the broken bridge, down the rails, and came to a stop in the rubbish barge, just above the murky waters of the canal. It worked, cried Top Hat jubilantly. Stinker, you're a smelly old genius. Frank and Eddie, the railway tugs, had been watching all this in amazement. Took some brain to save that train, said Eddie. Oh, I say, said Lord Stinker modestly. I'll never ever complain about your smell again, promised Top Hat. Rubbish can be valuable stuff, said Lord Stinker wisely. That evening, over by the quay, Sunshine and 10 Cents were watching the tide go down. Well, it's been a hard day, but we're all finished now, sighed 10 Cents. Yep, agreed Sunshine. I bet everyone else had an easy day just waiting for the tide to go down. Yes, I expect Top Hat delivered Lord Stinker and then spend the day resting somewhere quiet. Somehow he always manages to take it easy. The next day, work started on repairing the bridge. There was no serious damage to the train, thanks to Lord Stinker and Top Hat. For once, Captain Star had reason to be proud of Top Hat.